We like to finish every episode of Bullseye with a pop culture recommendation. It's the outshot. The idea came to Gary Shandling one day when he was on set. He was working on his sitcom, or actually his meta-sitcom. On It's Gary Shandling's show, Shandling talked to the audience directly. He crossed between sets with the camera still on him. He lived in a 3-wall replica of his own actual real-life living room. It was very funny, a lot of ironic remove. Anyway, on one of the episodes of the show, Shandling played a talk show host. And he said that as he was sitting there on the talk show set, he just had a thought. What if there was a show about a talk show, a fiction show? It was realistic. Shandling turned down a real late-night talk show. It's going to come on after Leno to do that fictional talk show. It was called The Larry Sanders Show.
Now that sign says applesauce. No. I'm kidding. It says applause. Ray, do me a favor. Could you flick that once? All right. Now, remember, you're all a big part of the show, so the better you are, the better Larry is. Okay, now you see this gentleman? Now he's giving me this sign, and it says, we're on in 10 seconds, so get ready to have a good time. All right, here we go. This is exciting, isn't it?
The Larry Sanders Show opened on a plain black screen. Then we heard the deep, reassuring voice of Jeffrey Tambor walking a studio audience through the rules of a TV taping. It's mesmerizing, but it's also almost disconcerting. Not just because staring into a void is disconcerting, but because it pushes us outside the show as we watch. It's almost Brechtian to start the show with this acknowledgement of where a show comes from. But then it pulls us back past the perspective of the studio audience into the world of the creators. Often on The Larry Sanders Show, the camera would fade in on a high shot of the TV talk show studio, a bird's eye view of the audience, the stage, the lights, a shot that revealed intentionally the artifice of showbiz. The Larry Sanders Show was a show about putting on a show. Not like one of those let's put on a show musicals from the 30s, not about plucky get-up-and-go singers and dancers trying to save the rec center. It was a show about where a show comes from, about the actual world of scared, vain, confused grown-ups who make entertainment.
Oh, I like the show tonight, Larry.
Oh, did you see the commercial parody?
I loved that. But Hank saying coconut, that was a little confusing.
Yeah,
I mean, aren't there shaving creams that are coconut scented?
Right. I couldn't agree with you more on this one, which frightens me, quite frankly. He was supposed to say chicken.
Chicken?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't seem that funny either.
No, chicken is funny in the context of a smell that goes on your face. Trust me.
The Larry Sanders Show revolved around 3 main characters. Hank Kingsley is that voice that we hear, the sidekick, played by Jeffrey Tambor, one of the greatest performances in TV history. Hank's a dope. He's almost purely venal. He's the butt of everyone's jokes. He's also somehow genuinely sweet. He's a little bit like a dog. Dumb, confused, but fiercely loyal. To some extent, he's a satirical version of Ed McMahon. Hank's catchphrase is, "Hey now," instead of "Hi-yo." But Hank is a lot more than that. We understand instinctively how he got this job, despite how incompetent he seems. It's because he always is what he is. As pathetic and unfunny and bald as Hank is, he's always there for the host, and he's always there for the show. He's real. He's a pro. One of my favorite scenes is one where he teaches Larry to do commercials on camera. The product they're supposed to be selling is a tool. It's called the garden weasel, and Larry absolutely has failed completely to talk about it sincerely on camera. And he and Hank talk about it while Larry's getting made up.
Can I ask you something about these commercials? I don't know what the heck I'm doing out there, Hank. I need a little advice. You've done like 20,000 of these things. Tell me something.
Well, you know, Larry, everybody thinks it's easy. It isn't. It's an art.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look. If you don't believe in your product,
right?
Okay, you gotta substitute something you do believe in.
Okay.
Okay, for instance, when I'm out there and I'm pitching the pearl cream that keeps you looking young.
Right. I've seen that.
Do you know what I'm thinking?
You're not thinking about the Pearl Cream?
No, sir, I am not.
What are you thinking about?
America. Everything she stands for.
Rip Torn plays Artie. He's the producer of the show. Thorn is a legendary actor. He studied under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. He was also famously mercurial. Thorn once told Studs Terkel, "I have certain flaws in my makeup, something called irascibility. I get angry easily. I get saddened by things easily." It's a bit of an understatement, coming from a guy who once hit a director with a hammer. Artie is a perfect expression of Thorn's controlled wildness. Artie lies and cheats, fights, drinks, does whatever it takes to fulfill a very simple objective: protect Larry. That had to be written on Thorn's script in big black letters. Protect Larry. No matter what, he fights for Larry. Nothing could be more important or more vital to him. Nothing matters more than Larry, because Larry is the one who is standing on that mark on stage, facing the cameras when the red light goes on.
Any thoughts?
No, but I'd like
I'm
to...
not sure that anyone wants to hear what you got to say, young lady. I don't take this as a threat, but I killed a man like you in Korea, hand to hand. My boy doesn't want to do any more commercials. From now on, you'll talk to me. Understood?
And then, standing on that mark, there's Larry. Vain, scared. He's terrified of the spotlight, terrified to leave it. His ego's extraordinary, but he fights at every turn not to be a Hollywood jerk. He just doesn't quite know how to pull it off. After work, he sits at home, more or less friendless, watching himself on TV, stewing in his own juices.
I'm gonna tell you something that I wouldn't tell you if you weren't leaving.
Is it gonna hurt my feelings?
No, I don't think it's gonna hurt your feelings. I happen to really like you. I mean, you know, I'm not a happy man. I know that I hide it pretty well, but the truth is I could always look forward to you kind of making me smile and...
Me?
Yeah. Yeah. In an odd way, I thought we've always understood each other.
You and me.
And I wouldn't say this to someone, you know, that I was working with, but I really like you, Paula.
Okay.
So maybe we can go out to dinner or something when this is all, you know.
I don't think so.
Why not?
I'm not your type. My breasts are real.
You know, I can get used to that.
Larry Sanders birthed a generation of great writers. Judd Apatow, for one. Peter Tolan, who wrote Analyze This and created Rescue Me. Paul Simms, who created News Radio and runs Divorce for HBO. Drake Sather, who wrote Zoolander. Stephen Levitan, who created Just Shoot Me and Modern Family. Seriously, I could go on like this for an hour. Shandling asked every writer very explicitly for realism. Partly that meant the kind of anecdotes they all had from working on comedy shows, weird network notes, fighting between writers, showbiz stuff, juicy stuff. That was the kind of stuff that people wrote about back when the show premiered 25 years ago. Like one time Dana Carvey guest starred as himself, but it was like a jerky version of himself. David Duchovny played himself with a crush on Larry. Inside baseball, meta stuff. That was new then, and it's funny. It's really funny. But realism meant something more than that to Shandling. He wanted every moment on Larry Sanders, every scene, every show, to be driven by real emotion. Not big picture emotion, not audience emotion, not the warm fuzzies you get from a well-resolved plot, not characters hugging each other at the end, but actual character emotion. Shandling questioned every line, and the question was, is this feeling real?
You know, Hank, I was just wondering why you say that "hey now" thing.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just something that you used on the show, and now you're starting to use it in your personal life, and it's an affectation of some sort, isn't it? Did you ever say "hey now" as a kid?
No, I don't. I probably didn't.
Uh-huh.
But I said, hey.
Yeah.
And I said, now.
Right,
I
sure,
at different
sure.
times.
I
But
see.
no, I never put them together till later in life.
Uh-huh.
So, in that sense, it's part of my personality.
You know, Hank, this isn't easy for me, but would you mind not doing it on the show anymore? Because, frankly, I'll tell you the
Wait
truth.
a minute. Are you telling me that when you
Yeah.
do your you do this, that
Yeah.
isn't the same affectation? That isn't the same as my hey now?
There, you just said it again. And, you know, I asked you not to say it.
That was the secret of Larry Sanders. That's what took a clever show business satire and made it a great work of art. I've seen some great dramas on TV. There isn't one with more genuine human feeling than Larry Sanders. The show's hilarious. I mean, don't get me wrong. But it's not about jokes or wit. It's about this bunch of scared, confused people. About what it takes to put yourself on stage every night to reveal yourself to the world. About piloting a ship that's always on the verge of mutiny. About dirty tricks, hiding in closets, losing money, losing friends, trying to move to Montana, then crawling back to Hollywood on your knees. And why it all seems worth it when people laugh. Ultimately, Gary Shandling didn't want to make a real talk show because he didn't want a fake laugh. He wanted to make something deeper. When he said he wanted to make something real, what he meant was he wanted to make something true. And that's the Larry Sanders Show. That's my outshot.